I think it's going to be quite close. Oh my god.
Oh, we've got a full tuck sighting.
We have a full tuck.
Oh, that is a kill tip. I hadn't even seen that.
Woo-woo.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live stream game coming from the Wingspan World Cup 2022. And we've got a real good knockout game for you in store today. This is a last 16 match between DrGrainslove from Australia and EpicSaxGuy from Norway. So, yeah, two obviously very strong players who not only got through very, very well in their regional groups, but then also battled their way through the World Cup group stage to get here into the round of 16. So I'm really looking forward to this one. And yeah, on commentary, joining me for game one, I have got another Aussie in Bushnit. So how are you doing today, Bushnit?
I'm doing great. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. The pleasure is all mine. Good to have you on the commentary. And
excited for World Cup.
Absolutely. Plenty of World Cup hype, I think, always, whether it's being streamed or whether it's just games happening on the server, it's always pretty exciting. So, yeah, I think we can probably get this one underway. So we've done the coin flip. EpicSaxGuy is going to be going first. So EpicSaxGuy, please, could you send the invite out? And yeah, best of luck, of course, to both players. And well, let's get stuck into the game.
Exciting.
Absolutely. And as I said, this is going to be a best of 3 match. So, yeah, EpicSaxGuy, of course, going first in this one, but that will rotate as we go into game 2. So, pretty interesting starting hand there for EpicSaxGuy. I think maybe a couple of good options, but, you know, what do you kind of look at? Maybe keeping there or maybe anything in the tray as well to go for?
There's the tray.
There is the tray. So we've got some good options. Definitely the swallow, right? I think EpicSaxGuy straight away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking to grab that. But do you think maybe the Carolina Wren as well? That's normally quite a good one, I think, to get some cards early on.
Yeah. Depends what the bonus is. Yeah, that is a nice. Oh. Ethologist. Nice.
Yeah, always like to see that one. I think that's a pretty easy one to get. You know, I mean, you're guaranteed 2 points, but certainly 4 or even 6 is pretty straightforward to get there as well.
Yeah, and then definitely the Wren, no brainer, because then you've got your white power.
Yep,
so that's
absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep, and of course, if you're going to get the Wren in the forest, and get the swallow, I would assume in the grasslands, that's normally where we see it. That's going to help. Start to get this first column at least filled up for that end of round. So yeah, definitely feels like it's probably going to be play the Wren, maybe just draw some cards and then use the swallow, tuck them. I guess if you're EpicSaxGuy, you're probably looking for that kind of wetland bird to give you some more cards, or maybe that forest bird to get you some food. It's just going to really be about what you can cycle through and get from the deck. So yep, that looks like what EpicSaxGuy is going with. So let's have a look what has DrGrainslove got, and maybe not. Maybe not quite such good options, but you know, maybe something to work with there. You know, what would you maybe keep the heron just as a wetland bird, or are you gonna maybe try and just dig through the deck?
Yeah,
I don't mind it.
Yeah, I like green heron, and you know. Chaffinch, even though it might not be helpful yet, it could just be a good first forest bird.
Right. Yeah.
That would be what I would do, because I've just lately been a lot against choosing expensive birds in the opening hand and getting totally bitten by that. So playing it safe is good. I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't mind the chaffinch.
I know grain.
Yeah, I don't mind chaffinch as an opening forest bird. I think, like you say, it can be quite difficult when you're just presented with a lot of really expensive options. But yeah, 1 food is 4 points.
Yeah.
And I think as well, if you're gonna be digging through the deck a lot, right, you're gonna be trying to find birds that you want to play. You might find birds that you aren't going to play, and then at least with the chaffinch you can consider tucking those and getting some points as well. So there is a bit of insurance there, I guess, to maybe help you if you're going to dig through the deck. So yeah, potentially this nuthatch as well, DrGrainslove looking at as an option. I think maybe the bonus card might have been Nest Box Builder, if I saw that right. So that might be something he's kind of got his eye on there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's quite a tricky one here, I think, with no extra seeds. But with the heron, you could maybe use that.
You can turn the fish into the seed,
Absolutely, yeah. So I think he's just trying to work that out. And this is something I always like to do.
He's DrGrainslove and
yes,
it's a grain eating bird, so
What can we say? Grainslove, he loves the grain, so
he loves the grain.
He resisted it in the end, but did keep a chaffinch at least. So yeah. Pretty open starts, I think, for both players. It's going to depend really what kind of cards they can get. So let's see. EpicSaxGuy. I did wonder maybe the puffin with the 2 fish in the bird feeder, if that was going to be tempting. So that could potentially be an option. But yeah, Grainslove, I think it's going to be heron. And just try and dig really. And see what you can get. So it was Nest Box Builder on the bonus card, which is a bit unfortunate. Whenever you keep a bonus card like that and you don't have any birds right off the bat that are going to work for it, bit of a frustration. And certainly compared, as we see EpicSaxGuy with the Ethologist, as we said before, that's definitely more straightforward, I think, to get points from.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right, so it seems like EpicSaxGuy is kind of considering what the next move is going to be. So obviously, as I said, the 2 fish there, maybe you could get rid of this magpie you just picked up. That could be potentially a way of getting that down, lay some eggs, draw some cards. I can kind of see that working. So that's that's definitely an option to consider. But equally, maybe you just grab the worm,
why not?
play the swallow, start laying some eggs, as we said. Plenty of egg space on that wren as well, which is going to be definitely helpful, I think, when you're going to be laying eggs with this swallow.
Yeah. So you're thinking he'll go swallow wetland? No, it looks like he's doing puffin.
Yeah, I think there are some options here, right? Like you say, you could equally go swallow wetland, draw some cards, tuck some cards, see what you get. I have a feeling it's going to be double fish. I mean, you don't often see this kind of puffin so early. It's very early in the game for a puffin.
Nuts. Yeah.
But I think it's
everyone loves a puffin, don't they?
Yeah, it's hard to say no. I mean, it's the kind of bird, like I say, you normally, certainly late in the game, if you see that in a tray or if you get that in your hand, you're going to grab that. I think pretty quickly. But yeah, it's not normally something you would necessarily see grabbed from the starting tray like that. But not the best choices on the bonus cards.
No.
Would you go bird banter here as well?
Yeah, I think so. I would, even though I love enclosure birds, eggy birds. I think, and around. That's true. The right choice. He's got at least 1. He's got the swallow.
Yeah.
He's only got to get 3 more. That
Yeah, and you got the whole. You got the whole rest of the game as well, right? To get this.
Yeah, exactly. So,
How about that for a draw?
Good choice.
For DrGrainslove, straight away, you're looking for a cheap forest bird. You're looking for something that's going to hit your bonus card. Ooh. We've got the chickadee and the mute swan as well. Very, very nice. I like that. We've got some options here.
Things are looking,
a couple of grainy birds coming up right when Grainslove needed it.
The grain gods are smiling on Grainslove.
Absolutely. Always for the grain. So yeah, we've got some puffin fans in the chat as well. Great to see. Never too early for a puffin.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think I can definitely see that. Definitely coming up grains, coming up grains indeed for Dr. Grainslove. So feels like potentially, would you look to get the chickadee down and then just get some food and get this mute swan down, and then really it's just going to be about again what you can get from the deck and maybe tuck some cards and that mute swan. So many potential points you can get there.
Yeah, absolutely. The Automa at the moment has a good mute swan practice for you guys out there.
Oh, it's the champ of the birds.
Yeah.
All right, might have to check that out.
At the moment, but the most I've been able to score it was doing a mute swan thing, because there's lots of hummingbirds, and Eastern Phoebe comes up, so hopefully something like that comes up for grains.
I mean, you wouldn't say no, right? Eastern Phoebe.
Yeah.
With this heron as well would be quite good.
Heron.
You get worms, you turn it into the food you want. So I definitely think that could be a good option indeed. So.
He kept the chaffinch.
Yeah. What do you make of that? Would you have discarded there?
Yeah, because now he needs another food to get that swan in.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Oh, well.
I just wonder if maybe what Dr. Grainslove is thinking is, right, this end of round goal filled columns, this chaffinch, we talked about it going in the forest, but it could easily slot in nicely in that first grassland spot. So, getting some extra points, I think it could help that way.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
It's definitely a tricky balance. So I think when you're trying to prioritize, I think particularly this first end of round goal, you think, right, do I go for the end of round goal? Do I try and get some points there? Or is it better to, in this case, get the extra food, get the swan down that extra turn sooner, and then really start digging? Obviously, you're going to draw lots of cards. You're going to tuck a lot of cards and get some points that way. So I think it is always a tricky decision. But yeah, I don't blame Dr. Grainslove for kind of being a bit more conservative and keeping hold of it.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, but
he does like to go for the first end of round goal, by the way.
He does, yes. He loves a good early lead, and I don't mind that. If you can get that early points on the board, I'm all for that as well. So yeah, Bushy knows cool. Dr. Grainslove, like you, pretty well in the chat, is pretty convinced that the chaffinch is going to go in the grasses. So we'll see, of course, for EpicSaxGuy there. As kind of expected, I think, that violet green swallow going down in the grasslands as well. So that's helped them, of course, again for this first end of round goal. But yeah, now for them, it's just going to be tucking some cards and really just kind of seeing what they get. I guess this Mississippi Kite is not a bad option. I think hits the bird banded bonus card. Another cheap bird. Maybe they could put it either in the forest or the grasslands. Sorry. So yeah, we'll kind of see where they go from there. But Grainslove, tempted by the grain in the feeder, is he? Or is he just going to get this chaffinch down? What's he going to do? Yeah, I kind of thought, like you said, he loves the end of rounds. Yeah. If he can get the end of rounds. But it is it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one, right? Because he's now not got the food for this mute swan. And obviously going first in that next round, I think ideally you would look to have the mute swan down already this round. Because say this time and time again, if you're going first in that second round, you really want to target drawing cards when you get that fresh tray. And obviously with the swan, you see extra cards, you get points from the tuck. So, like I said, he can't resist that first end around goal.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You gotta live and die by your, whatever.
Yeah, sometimes you've got principles that you got to stick to, right? So
the principles, that's it. Yeah.
This is like commandment 1 from Dr. Grainslove is, if you can hit the first end of round goal, do it. Yeah. You're laughing. Exactly. Yeah. So it's certainly one to go for, but. There we go. EpicSaxGuy going very aggressive on these bonus card birds. So, kind of an interesting one. I think it's a bit tricky, right? He's not got a huge amount of food generation at this point. So, a 3-food bird, especially with Dr. Grainslove there stealing the last worm in the feeder, that could be quite tricky. So, we'll see if that's going to work out. But here we go into the second round. And that's a pretty nice tray, I would say so. A couple of good options there, maybe for Grainslove to consider.
Ooh. American robin, blue throat.
Yep.
Both really good.
Absolutely. He's got some options here. What do you make of this blue throat? Obviously, it can go in the grasslands or the wetlands. Do you have a preference here? Do you think it would maybe work better in either of those two habitats here?
I mean, he can pick up both those birds. So he still needs... I mean, he can give up on mute swan, and then he'll have a bird to tuck in the grassland. So he could... Yeah, it might be too soon for that. Yeah, I would be going blue throat wetland probably, and mute swan, and keep the robin for later.
I like the sound of that. I think there's definitely options here, right? You know, you could easily, like you say, you get the blue throat and the robin. You could put those in the grasslands. You lay a bunch of eggs. You got loads of egg space. You start tucking birds, getting food. That feels like a really nice option. But equally, like you say, if you put blue throat down in this wetlands, you're getting loads of tuck cards. You're getting food as well. I mean, these are big point birds already, but they're going to help you get points throughout the rest of the game, and then get more big point birds down later. So, definitely some good options here, I think, for DrGrainslove to consider.
Yeah. Do it. Change it for the berry.
I think this is what he's considering because, obviously, I was going to say there's no worm in the feeder, but I think once this blue throat goes down, you can just use that to get the food for the mute swan. So. Absolutely. I think that feels like definitely a good call there, I think, for DrGrainslove. So lots of options, lots of possibilities. Bushy again, expecting the blue throat like you in the wetlands. So we'll see. This is the real test. How well do you actually know Dr. DrGrainslove? Can you predict his plays correctly? We shall see. Well, that might change things. That might change things because we have got a killdeer in the tray. That is absolutely a game changer. So
who gets that? Is that
that's Grains? That's Grains.
Wow.
Yep. So we had EpicSaxGuy just went for cards, and he picked up, I think it was the bed sparrow that was the one he just picked up in the tray, obviously thinking maybe a bit about the centre round goal, but that's an unfortunate one. But that's Wingspan. That happens. So maybe blue throat is not going to go in the wetlands anymore.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think this is the start of a real killer grasslands. You know, you've already got the chaffinch there. Yeah. You're going to have robin, blue throat, killdeer. Very, very tasty. I'm almost salivating at the thought of this grasslands that's going to be set up.
Oh my god! Yeah, and that chaffinch, I was sort of putting shade on him for going for that end around goal. Well, I mean, he's vindicated.
Exactly. It's looking like a genius play now with that killdeer. You know, you can just draw cards the whole game. Doesn't matter what you draw. If they're good cards, you play them. If they're not, you just tuck them with a chaffinch and get a load of points. So, that's going to be so good. Really, absolutely pure money. So. Definitely a trickier spot here, I think, though, for EpicSaxGuy. So again, kind of like we touched on in the last round, really struggling for food access. So would not be surprised here if we do see him get rid of a card. Probably. Do you think the sparrow, or do you think the other sparrow even that he's got in his hand there is the one to get rid of?
The white crowned. Yeah, I guess. Is that the one with lots of egg space? Maybe he wants that.
Yeah, that's true. I think it.
Oh, and it's bird bander.
That might be what he's thinking about. So he's got the food for that. So that could definitely be a good option. You know, you switch that through the habitats, it gets you extra cards, gets you a bit of extra food. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I think that can work.
Yeah, he needs it.
Absolutely. We'll see. And of course, does help this end of round goal with the ground nest. So that might be something that EpicSaxGuy is targeting. And I think Grains is going to be able to target that as well. So we've seen he's laid eggs. Obviously still got the food for this blue throat. So I'm going to definitely imagine that's going to go down. Lay eggs, get the killdeer down. Yep. And then you're away. You know, that's going to be such a nice setup.
Totally.
Yep.
Yeah, and the food access possibly solved for EpicSaxGuy with this blue throat as well.
Right, and that is going to be something to consider. And you know that it's always a tricky point, right? When you don't have great food access yourself. Obviously, at the moment, you know what Grains is looking at. It's just this chickadee which is okay. It's a good start, but it kind of would, I would say, need a bit more development in that forest if you were going to go that way. So yeah, the blue throat is going to help, but obviously it's going to help your opponent as well. And as we say, EpicSaxGuy not really on the food generation either. So we'll see. Definitely going to help both players, but I think purely just through all the cards that DrGrainslove is going to be seeing, he can really be selective, pick the food that he wants with that blue throat. And that's just going to be really, really nice for him as this game goes on.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be seeing a lot of grains flying
Absolutely.
out soon.
Absolutely. And as Bushy's just pointed out in the chat, plenty of these birds, the killdeer and the robin, they only cost 1 food. So you lay eggs, you get the exact food with the blue throat. You play one of them, you lay eggs again, you've then got the food. So I think, the more of these kind of real cheap single food or maybe 2 food birds that you can get.
Yes.
And obviously the killdeer, you're going to be seeing a couple of cards. The robin with the tucks, you're going to be seeing even more cards. So yeah, you can really just cycle through, filter through, and you're going to be able to find those cards that you want to play.
Yeah, he can just get some cheap birds with lots of egg space.
Yeah.
And then just do chaffinch sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's the key, and I think that's where I really like this blue throat, especially in the grasslands here, as DrGrainslove's got it right. It's got so many egg spaces, so you put it in the grasslands, you lay eggs,
5.
you get food, and with those 5 egg spaces. Obviously the robin I think has got 3 or 4 as well. He's already got plenty more down. Killdeer itself of course has got 3. So yeah, I don't think egg space is going to be a problem in the short term, and by the time it does start to fill up, I think DrGrainslove, he's going to be pretty sure of finding those kind of birds that he's going to be wanting to play.
Easy.
So there we go. Killdeer, very nice. Get that down. And it does look like it's going to be a tie, I think, perhaps, or is maybe EpicSaxGuy is going to get this red knot down. So that's going to be another gamble on the bonus card. Weapon Scientist, you take that. And picking up the Osprey as well and the Storm Petrel straight away. So definitely some good options there on the bonus card front. So I think you're pretty happy there if you're EpicSaxGuy.
Yeah.
And obviously you've still got one more turn left in this round. So I imagine it's going to be lay eggs, fill up all those ground nest spaces. And then you're away and you're pretty set up well, I think. Unusual maybe to see this kind of migrating bird played, but I think EpicSaxGuy can make it work here.
He might be denying grains that chipping sparrow, maybe.
Yeah, I wonder if that's, it's not a bad bird, I think, in this position for EpicSaxGuy. Well, it's
bird bander.
Right, exactly.
He might be thinking about this bonus card because actually, what do you get if you get 6? You get 6 bird banded birds. You get like 7 points.
I think it's 7. Yeah, I think it is 7. So that's definitely a good thing to target. And of course, as we said, maybe he doesn't have the best forest, and so with this chipping sparrow, that at least gives some way. You're getting some points. Does help with that next end of round as well. Maybe he's got an eye on that with the boldness. So lots kind of to consider. In that sense, but we have a Dick Sissel in the tray. Would you consider that? Obviously, we talked about the chaffinch as the way of getting rid of all the cards, but Dick Sissel ordinarily is something you would look to go for with killdeer.
Yeah. I mean, Dick Sissel gives you 2 points. You can be using the killdeer to take the egg off.
Right.
The Dick Sissel, nice.
Lots more egg space.
Yeah. The ultimate. I don't know. He might be, because I always like to leave the 5th spot for the Imperial Eagle.
It's the worst thing, isn't it, when you fill that up and then you draw it with like 5 turns to go and then you can't play it. So I'm with you there. So many times where you regret filling that.
It's heartbreaking.
It is, but I don't mind this. I think pick it up, give yourself the option. That Junko would have been so nice if you could have got his hands on that. But there you go. That's again, that's the risk. Yeah, you pick up a bird that you like, it's going to get replaced by an equally good or even better one. So not a huge surprise there. But he's got some good options, I think. Still, Grainslove, this Grasslands.
He does.
He's got the food for this robin that's going to go down, and that's pretty much done, I think, for those 4 birds. And then like you say, you're just hoping you find that eagle that you can fill that last spot with.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Right, so slightly difficult decision here, I think, for EpicSaxGuy with obviously the tucking. Would you skip the tuck here, or would you still go through and get rid of one of these 2 birds?
Yeah. He's getting the Junco. Well, the Junco ticks that box, doesn't it, of bird bander, and also helps the food issue.
That is true. Yeah.
He's not really got cards to make it work.
It is a tricky one. Oh.
What? Oh, that's
that
so
hurts.
mean.
That would have been so much better. So
hopefully he just didn't see it.
Yeah.
And then it just won't be like...
If he did see it, just pretend it wasn't there. That never happened. There was never a white stork.
Oh, that would have been... There was never.
No. But that's happened now for both players. So yeah, that's a shame. But what can you do? So. I certainly don't mind the Junco. I think, like you say, I think it does solve the food issue a little bit. But cards definitely are the limiting factor, I think, for EpicSaxGuy. So having those extra cards to tuck can be a bit of a challenge with this Junco. But looks like he is gonna get that down. Like you say, helps for the bird bander, and I think this chipping sparrow. I think we can expect to see that. Right, that's the 4th one done. So you've already hit the lower bound, and then you've got a good chunk of the rest of the game to try and find some more birds for that.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, lots of pain in the chat. Lots of pain in the chat for no white stork.
Yeah. What's happening here? No, what? Wait, hang on.
Forest robin. Well then.
Okay. He really is banking on this Imperial Eagle.
I think so. I think he definitely is. So that is an interesting call. But yeah, here we go. We have got... Now
he's lost his opportunity to... Well, not really. I was just going to say... Because Kill Deer obviously gives you the option to pick up birds.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if it's just a bit more of a defensive play, and if what Grainslove is thinking is, right, I can't afford to just spam this blue throat. I think particularly with the Junco, EpicSaxGuy's getting a bit of food, and then maybe the blue throat would give him a bit too much food and kind of help the opponent too much. So I don't mind this as a forest. It is maybe on the late side, but I think I can see it working.
Yeah, I do mind it. I would have gone grassland because he's just getting so many points there. Yeah. It doesn't, that one food per turn is really not gonna matter, I don't think.
Yeah.
If you look at EpicSax, he's
I think I would have. Exactly what's done is done. I think definitely some surprise in the chat that robin went down there, and I have to agree. I mean, I was surprised. I definitely did expect it to go in the grasslands. Like we said, you just lay a bunch of eggs. You're getting so many tucks, so many cards. Obviously with the killdeer, and then those are going to become even more tucks. But I think you could definitely afford to kind of throw the food around a bit. You're getting so many points. Like we said before, look for those cheap birds, look for those eagles, and kind of all those other birds that you want to play. So we'll see. It might pay off. It might pay off.
It's not the end of the world. Yeah.
No.
I mean, remember how the chaffinch
exactly. Yeah. Don't question the grains.
Exactly. I mean, it's great. He can lay eggs. He can. He doesn't have to give away free food. He can tuck a card.
Yeah.
So the swan's gonna go, I guess.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I'd imagine. At last that swan can go. And then you're just looking again through the deck. I guess if you're tucking with this robin, seeing what you can get.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So mute swan go bye. We draw from the deck. Maybe not what you're looking for, that will it? But
yeah. It'll get tucked.
Exactly. It's still something to tuck. So, yeah. What?
What do you think
the the plan is for that 4th grassland spot for Grains. Obviously, the turkey and the dick thistle are both options here. Do you think he'll prefer one over the other?
Yeah, I think he's probably gonna go dick thistle. That's my guess.
Yeah.
What's
I would think so.
Saying? You said, "Oh no!"
Yeah. Yeah, there are definitely some questions about whether the early morning tiredness. Obviously, you're in the same time zone, so you're aware of how early it is for Grainslove. I think he's a bit of a morning person. I would say, at least, not like it's not like he had to specifically wake up at this hour to play. But yeah, I won't comment on whether it's tiredness or anything that's a factor here.
Yeah. I mean, I was, as you heard earlier, I was saying the morning mind is the best mind, but it just depends. I think it
does depend.
Yeah.
It depends on the person. I think some people can't function that first hour in the morning. The last thing they want to do is play a game of Wingspan and try and sort of think critically. But I don't know. He didn't sound tired before the game, so I'm not going to chalk it up to that. But he has got the dick thistle down, so I like this. I think that's a good move. That's a good move, like you said before.
That helps. Yeah,
absolutely helps. And you can just start laying eggs. It almost doesn't matter. You're getting at least sort of 5 or 6 points, and obviously some extra cards. Maybe if you're going to tuck with the chaffinch or not. Definitely some good options. So I think it's just about laying eggs and trying to maximize off that, and sort of in the meantime, feels like EpicSaxGuy's kind of doing the same. So Sparrow in the grasslands, which is quite interesting, just as a way maybe of getting some extra eggs. And I think like we said, it's just going to be about laying eggs. You tuck obviously on the Junker, you tuck on the Swallow as well. So 2 pretty nice grasslands engines here that are really going to be competing here as we kind of go towards the end of this game.
Yeah, both have got license to print money, basically.
Yeah, and they both got loads of egg space, right? Both looking at 20 or so egg spaces. Obviously, I think Grainslove is maybe going to be able to manage that a bit better with this killdeer getting rid of some of those extra eggs, so maybe he can afford to go a little bit longer there. But for both players, it's almost just a race at this point. Who can find the better birds? Who can obviously tuck or use the killdeer in Grainslove's case, and just see what you find. And it might be a case of whoever can find the eagle is going to come out on top here.
Yeah, the eagle race is on.
The eagle race is well and truly on, and they both have space. If they get the East Imperial, like you said, plan ahead, save that space. Make sure you've got the slot for it.
Leave the spot and tuck all those birds. Plenty
of birds to tuck, right? You'll probably save some of them for the dick thistle, because like you said before, you get a tuck and you get the egg, so I think that's sensible to at least make sure you're doing that. But this chaffinch, any extra cards, I think plenty of these birds he's got in his hand are not really ones that you'd ordinarily look to play, so they're going to be points. I think that can really be a frustration, certainly I found, when you do use the killdeer, is you have to draw so many cards, and you just get stuck with them all at the end of the game. You can't do anything with them, and it just feels like a waste. So big brain chaffinch play, definitely had the foresight there to think that through.
He was 15 steps ahead of us.
Absolutely. So he is going to skip for now, and do you know what? I don't mind that. I think plenty more turns next round. Like you said, with this chaffinch, he's going to be laying eggs. He can tuck up to 4 a turn. So even if you skip a little bit here, maybe you do find that eagle, and suddenly you want those extra cards to use for the eagle rather than tucking.
Skip the killdeer, you're saying?
No, so he used the killdeer. He used the killdeer, but then skipped the chaffinch.
Skip the chaffinch.
Yeah. So I think that's okay. I think definitely the other 3 you want to be activating. It looks like maybe this barn owl, I think, is going to be the one that he is going to look to play, having picked up that rodent. So again, more egg space. Could work.
Bonus card.
Does say the bonus card is a little bit. It's a little bit late, I almost feel. It's a bit of a shame.
Right.
Yeah, we did kind of say this, right, when he was picking the bonus cards. When you don't have any birds at the start, that at least hit that bonus card,
Yes.
it can be a struggle. So does feel like, yeah, when you blank that bonus card, it's quite difficult to kind of fight back. And obviously we know EpicSaxGuy, they've got plenty of good bonus cards here as they're going through there. So
They do, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some good options for point scoring.
Yeah.
All right, so last turn for Grains here in this third round. I imagine it is just going to be laying eggs again. And as we said before, it's all about that fresh tray. Sometimes that round 4 tray can have some real nice surprises. So, of course, it was the round 2 tray that gave GrainsLove the Robin, of course, and the Blue Throat. So
yes,
maybe he'll get some nice luck there from the tray. But I think it's just going to be laying eggs as we go here towards the final round. So I'm going to ask the viewers, but I'm going to ask you as well, Bushnit. Who do you think is in the stronger position? Who do you think is going to win this game?
DrGrainslove. Yeah. Although I've been watching him a bit more, I have to admit. So there could be a bonus card victory coming from EpicSaxGuy.
Yeah, it's difficult. I'll see what the viewers think. I do think the bonus cards are going to be a big one, right? Like we said, grain stuff. When you're scoring 0, obviously EpicSaxGuy. He's got the Ethologist, which at the moment it's only 2, but I think that Diver is probably going to go down, so that's going to hit that, and it's also going to hit Wetland Scientist for another few points. So he's looking like he's maybe going to be on about 10 or 11 bonus card points, which is pretty strong.
Okay.
And that can often make the difference in what could be an otherwise tight game. But eggs are definitely going to be strong here, and Tux, of course, I think, for GrainsLove. So I'm definitely not going to count him out of this. Of course, this Chaffinch, plenty of Tux are going to come from that. So
he's just got.
Yeah, it's going to be on the Eagles. If he can find an Eagle, that's the big one.
Yeah. I thought they were just going to both be sitting in the tray. Both Eagles.
That would be nice.
It'd be nice if they could just get one each.
Yeah. Oh, that does happen sometimes. We do see that. I think we've had it on the streams a couple of times where certainly, if one of them comes up, you do feel like it can swing the game a little bit. But if both of them come up and if each player gets one, you go, do you know what? That's fine. I think I can accept that. But
even Stevens.
Yeah, even Stevens, absolutely. So, GrainsLove kind of thinking he's not sure whether to gamble. And you know that once this goes down, that's when the Eagle's going to come up, right? Just as you filled up that last one.
Yeah.
But there we go. He has committed. It's gone down. And obviously that does help for this end of round goal. So that might become a factor here in clinching those extra end of round points. So we'll see where that goes for sure. But I think otherwise it's just going to be laying eggs for GrainsLove, and for EpicSaxGuy. Kind of tricky, I think. Probably is going to be this Diver, but not really got the fish for it, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the food to brute force it, so he doesn't need that food for anything else.
No,
that's probably the plan.
Yeah, I guess obviously he is going to be laying eggs as well. You get some tucks on the swallow. Maybe you gamble from the deck and see what you get. So maybe that food could be used for something else. Where I've seen some kind of suggestions in the chat. Maybe he finds like a woodstock or a spoonbill or something else that you might play instead. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I think I would be. I'd be looking to tuck, but perhaps House Finch. I did not really see this as an option, but I suppose as well, maybe that's with the end of round goal in mind, and of course Birdbander as well. So maybe that's going to be the one to target. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But House Finch has gone down definitely with all the egg laying. That's going to score some more points for sure.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Wetland Scientist is 3. So hopefully he'll get a third one that might be a bit cheaper.
Yeah, I think
Clark's Reeb.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's probably the thinking, right? Because, like you say, Wetland Scientist is 3. I think he might be 1 away from maxing out Birdbander, and that would also that's a jump up from 4 to 7, so that's also 3. So either one of those.
I see. Yep.
Could work.
Well, yeah. There are like even just a bird bander. Well, they're not going to be the same bird either. There has to be 2 different birds.
That's the frustrating thing when you have these kind of bonus cards. Yeah.
Yeah. Bugger.
Yeah, bit of a shame, but definitely the ethologist can work with both, right? I think whether he's going to put something in the forest or something in the wetlands, as long as it's not a white or no power bird, you're going to get a couple of extra points. So, there's still some kind of merit.
Could go in the forest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if we are just going to see some more eggs, you could still brute force it, right? You get a couple of seeds with a Junko, you force that down, you get some points. I think you probably take that at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
what's happening?
Grains is being very indecisive on what he wants to tuck. I think he might even be changing his mind on the pre-growth food.
He's changing his mind on the food.
yeah. So he did pick up that woodpecker this turn. So again, that's another one of these Nestbox builder birds. So he's going to get agonizingly close. And maybe if he finds another one of those double birds, exactly. Yeah, that could come into play. But I don't know. At this point, it almost feels like at this point you just keep laying eggs. I think he's got space for it. I think you score more points that way. I don't think you need to worry too much about.
If you've gone to the trouble of putting that barn owl in as well, that's not really giving you much except for, Yeah.
It's the egg space. I think that's what that was played for at least, and of course helping the end of round, but a little bit more egg space perhaps. So yeah, I do think he can get away with just laying eggs the rest of this game, because obviously there would normally come a point, right, when you've got killed in, you think I'm happy with what I've got, I'm not going to keep getting rid of the eggs, so actually you kind of fill up that bit quicker and run out of space. But as we said, the Chaffinch, you're going to want to keep discarding, right? You keep getting those extra cards because they're still going to be worth points to tuck under the Chaffinch. So we'll see. Definitely a key decision point. So GrainsLove, normally a pretty speedy player.
Take a grain.
If in doubt, take what you love.
Just give it. No. Because the thing is, once he runs out of egg space, he will need to play a bird. If he takes the berry, what's that second bird there with the tree nest?
That's the woodpecker.
It's getting tough.
So that might be going.
That's fine. Yeah.
I don't know. I'd keep hold of it. Like you say, you never know. You might need to play a bird, and it's probably the best option in the hand to be going for. Maybe that or the wild turkey. But I think you can keep it. I think he's going to be laying eggs again. You're always going to have the option to tuck with the Chaffinch or the Dick Thistle. So I wouldn't mind keeping hold of it. And then if you come and tuck it later, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and even if he ends up playing it and he's only got 3 egg spots, he could still lay eggs and get 1,000,000 points from his grassland, even if he's only getting 3 eggs.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. It doesn't. Yeah. It's still going to be a good play, like you say. That woodpecker, you're kind of gambling on the bonus card, and you're not having the best bonus card luck at the moment with this Nestbox builder. You really want to gamble again with kind of not a huge number of birds played. Definitely kind of a tricky decision, I think, at this point in the game. So, is he going to keep it?
He heard us.
I think there we go.
Good boy.
He's kept the 2. Kept the 2 that at least at least remotely worth playing at this point. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see indeed if either of those do go down, or if it is just going to be laying eggs for the rest of the game. So yeah, here we go. Over to EpicSaxGuy. I think as kind of expected for him as well, it's just going to be lay eggs, use the house finch, see what you get. Yeah. Probably going to be digging from the deck here. Tree creeper, not really what you're looking for here. So
Not really.
Yeah, I think it is, as we said, just going to be something, maybe wetland scientist, bird bander, anything that hits these bonus cards. That's going to be definitely kind of what you're looking for as that sort of late game play. So
yeah, and he'll get a worm if Grainslove is going to play that woodpecker.
Yes, absolutely. So then that little owl that comes back into play, I suppose, as well. So yeah, that could be interesting. I think maybe that's what Grainslove is thinking, right? Maybe I give away a food, and that's either going to help my opponent play a bird, or at the very worst, he's going to discard it and get an extra point for it. So I can kind of understand the nervousness and the hesitation, maybe, in not wanting to give that free food away. But yeah, I think this is the kind of the point in the game for me when you've got like 3-4 turns left. You can make a solid plan. You can think to yourself, right, I'm going to commit, I'm going to just lay eggs, or I'm going to lay eggs twice, get this food, play this bird.
Yeah.
You can really kind of plan that out. So there's an element of randomness. Obviously, this killdeer, you're going to be looking for nice cards from the deck. Maybe not those kind of cards, but you never know what you're going to find, right?
Yeah. See you later, snow bunting.
See you later, indeed. So they're both going to go. And
right.
Yeah, it does seem like it is going to be committing to just laying eggs. So of course, that wild turkey last card in hand. When Grains comes to lay eggs, that's going to be the one to go under the Dixel. So I don't mind that. I think that works.
Okay.
I think that's the safer play for me. You're not gambling.
Yep.
You're pretty certain on the points you're getting. So yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
The poll came out pretty close in the end. So we had 53% in favour of Grains and 46% in favour of Sax. So almost on a knife edge, almost 50-50.
Yeah.
We've definitely got fans of both players in the chat, so I'm sure there was no bias. I'm sure there was no bias in choosing who you're voting for. But this feels like it's going to be potentially quite close. But it does feel like the bonus cards maybe are going to be what is going to get EpicSaxGuy over the line.
He just got European roller.
Well, I think he tucked Thecla's Lark earlier in that turn.
The two shittest bird that's in the game.
Which is definitely not what you're looking for. Definitely not. The kind of bird that you'd save that last grassland spot for if you're looking for that last place. So, in hindsight, that barn owl as well was a good play to use that. And I think the house finch as well, kind of in reaction from EpicSaxGuy. Yeah, that's helped. But did we just see barn owl get a hunt? I think that did. Just get the single rodent, the single dice. So
amazing. It's got two.
It's got it's I mean, it's the big brain play, right? We said it. Don't doubt.
No, it's just one.
Yeah, it's got the one rodent and then the two tucks as well. So but you take that. You take getting
take whatever you can get.
Exactly. I think when I play barn owl, I have very low expectations of what it could do. Like even just one hunt is like, you've blown my mind. You've done more than I thought.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Definitely. Yeah. So he'll be hoping for a bit more luck, of course. One last turn laying eggs and hoping to get another cash on the barn owl. But the EpicSaxGuy, again, pretty straightforward. Just keep on laying eggs, keep on tucking. I think he is almost going to fill up on his egg space as well. So that's pretty well planned out. And it's maybe not as many bonus cards as we expected, right? It's now looking like only 6 points for EpicSaxGuy. And I think that's the kind of realm where you can start to think about having a chance of being in with a fight here.
Yeah, he kind of he needed the perfect bird for either one of for all three, because he actually only has the minimum on Ethologist as well, which is so sad.
Yeah, I mean, we said this at the start, like it's a guaranteed 2, but you almost always see at least 4. You normally see 6. I think you can normally expect to get to 6 for this. So I can't remember the last time I saw Ethologist kept at the start and then only finish on 2 points. So that is kind of interesting. But like you say, it It needed the exact right bird to hit the bonus cards.
Yeah.
And I think even then, he just gets so many points from laying eggs. Oh, I mean, that whooping crane would have been so nice.
That would have been
crane. That would have been the one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so tricky. And when you've got this nice grasslands and you get so many points for laying eggs anyway,
really nice.
that is what you're going to go for. So here we go. The points are counting up.
Really go?
I feel like this is going to be so close. This feels like it's going to be, I don't know, maybe like 5 points in it either way. I'm really not sure. It's, if anything, it is going to be a little bit of cash food and of course tuck cards at the end. Oh, and there we go.
Oh my god!
Super close in the end. But it is a win there for EpicSaxGuy, who takes game 1 94 points to 88. So very well played, good game, very hard fought, I think, from both players. But that is the result in the end for game 1. And yeah, as I said at the start, this is a best of 3. So DrGrainslove is not out of it yet, not by a long shot. We've still got at least one more game.
Yeah.
And if he can win that one, which I'm sure the chat will be hoping for, we'll get a game 3, which is always exciting. So there we have it. Good game. And yeah. Any
Barney got a hunt.
Yeah. I was going to say, any sort of final concluding thoughts on how that game went?
Me or
for you?
The boys aren't back yet.
No.
Honestly, I think those points could have been made up with a robin in the grassland. Just saying.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
It's always the case, right? At the end of the game, you have those kind of what if questions. You know, what if the robin went in the grasslands? You know, you get more points. Maybe you tuck more. You get through to that kind of big point eagle or something that you're looking for. It's always hypotheticals. It's always a difficult one to go with. So but yeah, we will. I think
it was a great game.
It was a good game, definitely.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I think we'll just take a few minutes before we go into game 2. But as I said, do not go anywhere. We've got a very exciting game 2 coming up very, very soon. All right, everyone, thank you for waiting there. We are just about ready, I think, to get started with this second of hopefully 3 games. But before we do, we have a quick change in the commentary. So thank you very much to Bushnet, who was joining us on Game 1. And I'd like to introduce now, we've got G Trudat joining for Game 2. How are you doing today, G?
I'm good, glad to be here.
Excellent, good to have you here. Were you able to watch that Game 1? Any thoughts?
Yes, I mean, I think, similar to everyone else in the chat, on the edge of my seat, rolling with all the curveballs. But yeah, it's always fun to watch a close game, so I'm excited to see what they come up with this time.
Absolutely, yeah, super close, right? Not many points in it, so hopefully we'll get an equally close game here in Game 2. So, yeah, we had EpicSaxGuy was going first in Game 1, so we will have DrGrainslove sending out the invite into this Game 2. So I think both the players are ready. I think DrGrainslove is about to get the invite ready and sent out. And yeah, as I said, hopefully, I mean, we have no bias in the commentary. I'm sure there's a little bit of bias in the chat. I can live with that. But we always want a Game 3, right? It doesn't matter who wins Game 1. We always want the other player to win Game 2. And like you said, at least get a close game, because those are always pretty exciting to watch.
Absolutely. If it's not me going to a Game 3, I definitely want it.
Yeah, I have to say this, like as a player, I think particularly when you're being streamed, Game 3 is the last thing you want. You want a nice, easy, get it over in 2 and move on. But as a viewer, you want the games. You want, to get that Game 3, absolutely, if possible. So here we go. Grainslove going first, and pretty good options. I think they're in the starting hand. Definitely, something for getting food, something for getting cards. Kind of always good to have those options. So yeah, any kind of initial thoughts on this starting hand, G?
Yeah, I mean, I would feel like the Nightingale is an easy take for me if that Woodpecker wasn't in the tray, but that would have me second guessing. Yeah,
I mean, this Woodpecker, it's very polarizing, I find. It's one of those where your opinion on it is very much guided by your first few experiences. And I know, see, when the expansion first came out, there were people who played it. They were getting like 3 or 4 worms every turn on the re-rolls, and we're saying this is the best bird ever. And then you had people on the other end of the scale who played it, they kept getting nothing, and it was just really a trash bird for them. So I like it. I think it is definitely a good option to go for. The potential there for getting so many worms is just huge. So I'm going to be very interested to see if Grainslove does pick it up. But like you say, I think the Nightingale and the Gallinule, probably the standouts there. Not sure the 2 migrating birds or the horned lark are going to be options for keeping here.
Yeah, now what do you do for bonus cards here?
It's a tricky one. It's definitely a tricky one. I mean, I think with the Woodpecker, if that is going to be the option to go with, then I think Forester being one of them, I think that is going to be definitely... Yeah, I mean, good option to go with as you kind of already start off with 1, and I think there's always going to be kind of good options going forward to kind of fill that up, fill up the rest of that forest with other birds as well. So, can you remember what the other one was? I did not see it.
I'm trying to remember. It's where you have 4 eggs.
Oh, breeding manager, right? Okay. Oh, that's an interesting one because he has already got 2.
Right.
That's a good point. It's so rare that you would see breeding manager kept at the start, but it's safe. I mean, maybe this is a case where obviously Grainslove in Game 1 kept that bonus card at the start, really struggled to find birds that hit that, and then you score no points from that, and that can be costly. That can end up costing you the game. So maybe you keep Forester and then you don't find any more forest birds, and you really struggle. Whereas at least if you keep breeding manager, I think you probably expect. There we go. Yeah, I think you would expect to lay enough eggs to at least hit these 2 birds you've got. So we'll see. We'll see if he's feeling like taking the gamble or not.
Yeah, I don't mind it as a starting but I think I'm in the minority there. If you don't have an obvious, pick.
No, I'm with you, to be honest. I think it gets a lot of hate. I think people see it as the worst bonus card in the game, which I think it definitely isn't. I think there are lots of worse options than Breeding Manager. I think just having that flexibility, if you've only got one, you still get a point. You can pretty easily pick up 2, 3, 4 points from this, and I think you take that from a bonus card.
Absolutely. It's generated some heated discussions in our house, but
I mean, it's generated some very heated discussions online, in comment sections on the Discord as well. So GrainsLove avoiding those heated discussions. He's going with Forrester, so we'll see if that's going to be the play for him. So here we go, over to EpicSaxGuy. Maybe not quite such a good start, but some interesting options with these pink powers. Obviously, only a 2-player game, but those cards you might look to keep and kind of benefit from maybe when your opponent's going to lay eggs.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got egg-heavy end-of-round goals for the first 2, so I think especially at the beginning to have that ability to not go on your eggs as much, that could be really beneficial.
Absolutely, yeah. That's going to be interesting, I think. Obviously, in terms of the 2 pink powers, they're going to lay eggs on the bowl nest for the cowbird, and then the cooker, you get the choice of either the bowl nest or the ground nest. So not a huge amount of options in the starting hand. Obviously, that Brewer's Blackbird aside, maybe the kingbird in the tray could be an interesting pickup with that bowl nest space as well. But really the lack of wetlands is going to be the glaring omission at the start here. And obviously, again, that kingbird being the only option from the 5 starting birds and the 3 in the tray as well. So do you consider that as an option, wetland kingbird, or are you just going to really gamble and hope you get something from the deck?
Yeah, I think I would. I like to have one bird down there, especially in the first round. You are pretty much guaranteed a forest play from your opponent, so I don't think it's a bad play in terms of getting that extra slime, in terms of getting a bird down there for end of round goal. Not too bad. Yeah.
I think it's okay. I mean, it always feels like a bit of a desperate situation when you're resorting that kind of play, the kingbird in the wetlands. But I would say this is exactly that kind of situation that the EpicSaxGuy finds himself in. When you're not given that good option for that wetland bird, like you say, it's good to just get a bird down. Right, you start laying eggs, or in the case with this cowbird, you get some free eggs there. You start discarding, get some cards. Definitely going to help, I think, just in generating some extra cards and for the end of round goal as well. So looks like that might be what EpicSaxGuy is considering. I did see him thinking about Cuckoo as well. That would be interesting, I think, going double pinks when you don't have a huge amount of bowl nest space. But like you said, with the eggs in the end of round, plenty of egg laying is going to happen. So that could definitely pay off.
Yeah, although if you go all in on the pink powers to get your eggs, you're sort of conceding first in some of those end of round goals that are egg based.
Right. It's tricky, and I think my kind of view on the pink powers is it's so hard to know at the start of the game whether they're going to be worth keeping and then worth playing. It's always much easier to get those sort of round 2, round 3 once you've seen your opponent build something up. And then you can put these down and you're getting 3 points. It's so frustrating when you play that cowbird so early and then your opponent goes with the blackbird in the wetlands or puts a chipping sparrow in the forest and then just says basically, I'm not going to need to lay eggs, I can get my eggs from somewhere else. And then it's stuck there and you're not really getting points. So it's definitely a gamble, but one pink power I think here is a pretty safe keep.
Yeah, and I think this is a starting hand for gambling. It sort of lends itself well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. So, nest box builder on the bonus card. We'll see. Hopefully, EpicSaxGuy has a bit more luck with that than GrainsLove did in game 1. So, here we go. Over to GrainsLove, turn 1. The big question, is he going to take the woodpecker? Is he going to leave it? I'd assume with this Forester bonus card, he is going to look at picking it up. Go on, Grains. He's second guessing himself.
The suspense. It's so calculated at this level.
Yeah.
Game 2 and yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's tense, right? These, like you said, these tournament games, they can be really stressful, and are being streamed as well. When you're going into this kind of elimination game, you want to make sure you're kind of making this right decision. So it does look like it is going to be Nightingale going down. So no Woodpecker is going to be the pickup. But we've got some talk in the chat about the risk of the Rule 16 there. So I can maybe sympathise to an extent.
Yeah, but now the question is, if you're EpicSaxGuy, do you delay the Kingbird to get the Woodpecker?
That's a good question. It's kind of tricky. I think the Woodpecker would be quite good for EpicSaxGuy as well. I mean, the real struggle here is no worms in the feeder. Now, obviously, the Kingbird, that maybe is going to help a little bit. And maybe he's looking at this Nightingale as well and thinking, okay, I don't need to worry so much about the forest too much right now because I'm going to be getting a little bit of free food from this Nightingale. So that can maybe tide me over for a bit. So, yeah, I still support the Kingbird play there, I think, or at least picking it up, and I'm assuming it is going to get played pretty soon. I do feel like just getting that Wetland Bird down is going to be so important, and then you see what you get and maybe try and find something better.
Yeah, and obviously for the Cowbird as well, seeing the Nightingale go down has to feel pretty good.
Yeah, I think so. And I think definitely getting the Cherry there, being able to play the Kingbird, obviously. Still got the food for the Cowbird, so yeah, I think I'm with you on that. You see this Grasslands, or at least the start of a Grasslands, you get this Cowbird down. Not only are you getting that free food, but you're then suddenly getting a free egg as well. So really being able to benefit from what your opponent's doing. Yeah, maybe getting some free cards as well with this Gallinule. So DrGrainslove is going to be very, very generous, I think, supplying lots of resources EpicSaxGuy's way. So we'll see. That might be the kind of thing that comes back to bite him, but yeah, hopefully he's able to get some benefit from that as well.
Right, you always hate to see that go lopsided to the person who's receiving those cards. Yeah,
and I think it is definitely one of these cases, right, where you see your opponent, if they're so desperate to play a Kingbird as their Wetland Bird, maybe it means they've not got great options to be looking at. So, do you skip here? Do you activate? What would you do with this Gallinule? It looks like he's activating.
At the beginning, I'm activate for a few rounds just to try to generate cards for myself.
Right.
It's that a little bit of a gamble, but worth it.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think it is. We have players on all ends of the spectrum here. There's some players who are really strict against not using this kind of power, and they kind of look at it and go, right, if my opponent's going to get a card and they don't have a good Wetlands, I don't want to do that. But I'm kind of with you. I think definitely early game, just seeing those extra cards can be so important. You in this case, obviously, DrGrainslove, you just picked up 3 cards, so you just give yourself that kind of extra sight. So we will see. Yeah, if any of these are potentially ones he looks to play, I think he was definitely hoping for a Forest Bird, so Colt It could be a good option there. Obviously, it's the bonus card and helps the end of round, so not a bad option to go for.
Yeah, Colt It, European Nuthatch, both super strong birds from the European expansion.
Absolutely.
So that's fun to see those in play.
Yep. And as pointed out by Bushy in the chat, obviously Bushy knows DrGrainslove pretty well. Carrion Crow is actually DrGrainslove's favourite bird in the game. So pretty nice for him to be able to pick that up. Maybe not in this situation. Obviously, it's the round end power. You get cached food for every predator on the board for one of the players. So we don't have any down at the moment. So yeah, he might still look to play it because he does really like that bird. And I can completely sympathise with going out of your way to play a bird you like, even if it maybe isn't going to fit with what else you're trying to do.
We've all been there.
We've all been there.
I totally get that. Hence me encouraging the puff-in play
in round
5
last time.
Yes. But...
Yeah. I mean, you can't say no to puff-in, right? It's when it's there and there's the fish in the feeder. I completely support that. So, but yeah, it does look like for EpicSaxGuy, I think they're considering this chickadee, and I think that could be a good play here. Do you start thinking about building a forest engine here, getting some food and obviously some caches, and then this cowbird being the egg source going forward? Do you think that could be a good setup to go for?
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you've got a raven or a crow, I love to have 2 birds in my forest as fast as possible, especially when they're inexpensive. But it looks like he's considering discarding.
He is, and this is interesting. I think what EpicSaxGuy is really looking for is a worm. I think he really wants to get this cowbird down, which I can completely sympathize with. Right, you want to get that down. Once you see your opponent is really laying, there's lots of eggs in this grasslands, getting some food. You want to be able to benefit from that. But I completely agree with what you said. Right, if you get 2 birds in that forest, you get a couple of food, you get a couple of caches. You're starting to score points and get food to play big point birds. It's just a really nice way to start that forest. So obviously the nest box builder bonus card as well is going to help with that. So I would definitely be going for that, and it does look like that is what EpicSaxGuy is going to go for here.
All right, and he got his
worm.
Slime anyway.
So there we go. I think there might have been an element of that as well. You just show a little bit of patience, maybe see what your opponent is going to give you, obviously, with that nightingale. So he'll be happy with that. I think EpicSaxGuy, that cowbird is probably going to go down. And for DrGrainslove, definitely I'm imagining this Colter is going to go down. You lay eggs. And as Bushnett said in game 1, DrGrainslove loves to go for this first end of round goal. So he'll be very happy, I think, if he can get the win here.
Yeah, it's funny to hear people that play a lot with streamed players outside because it gives a fresh perspective.
Yeah. No, it is good, and it's definitely interesting. I think there's plenty of players who've been on the server for such a long time, and you really start to get an idea of their play styles from playing against them, or sometimes kind of watching people on stream. And it's so interesting because I think a lot of people see this game as kind of, there's only really so many strategies you can go with. You're either getting food or laying eggs or playing birds, and there's kind of limited flexibility in there. But you can really easily see that different players have kind of very different tendencies on what they really like to prioritize, what kind of birds they like to go for. So I like that. I think that's always an interesting thing to be able to get, and particularly for the streamed games as well. So pretty good pickup there, I would say, for EpicSaxGuy with this Grackle. Obviously some habitat flexibility. Where do you think it would go best for him here?
That's tricky. I think it goes best in the wetlands, but there's a part of me that says put it in the forest because I love a forest engine that is generating an egg as well. But I think a weaker start to the wetlands would lead me to put it down there instead to get that egg there.
Yeah, I mean it is interesting. I think whenever you have these kind of birds that can go in different habitats. I mean, we saw it a bit in game 1. Obviously, DrGrainslove getting that blue throat. Was it going to go grasslands or wetlands? And I think kind of here, similarly with this Grackle, where is it going to go? So I think I would be minded to put it in this wetlands. Like you said, a little bit of a weaker start kind of gives you options, maybe to draw some extra cards. But we go here into the second round, and there are some pretty good wetland options there. Even more pink powers to consider. So do you have your eye on any of those here if you're EpicSaxGuy?
I mean, I think the Golden Eye would be an easy take because it fulfills my bonus card. But you have to be careful to not spook your opponent, with too many pink powers to make it not worth it.
Yeah. It's a really interesting dynamic. I think one pink power, I think you can live with that, right? If you see your opponent has got pink power, I think as long as you build up enough of a grasslands where you're getting a good number of eggs, maybe you're getting some tuck cards, maybe some predator powers as well, and you can start to really score more points. I think you can make peace with the fact that you're going to give one away. But like you say, it's very easy to spook your opponent into completely steering away from this grasslands and not laying eggs at all. And I think what DrGrainslove has been able to do this first round obviously targeting the end of round goal, he's got quite a good surplus of eggs, so potentially could lay off the eggs a little bit, focus on drawing some cards, focus on getting some food in this forest, and just play some birds. And really, if you can starve your opponent of eggs, that can work out quite well.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like EpicSaxGuy is toying around. Do I take both? Do I leave the Avocet behind? I would. I mean, you don't have any of those nest types yet. It seems like.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I think I would probably leave it. I think maybe what is going through EpicSax's mind is, right, I've only got one egg, so if I discard that, I now can't play a bird unless I get something from this cowbird or lay eggs myself, which is not really what you want to do in this kind of situation. So yeah, it is a tricky one, and I think if you take both, that's definitely going to spook your opponent, right? You suddenly look to get 3 down. That's definitely a tricky one. So I agree. I think that that feels like the sensible play. And now you go for foods. I think you pray that you get that fish on the reroll, and kind of see where you go from there. So looks like Grains is maybe going to be going for this burrowing owl. So pretty strong, obviously, with this end of round goal. But does kind of beg the question, should he have kept the breeding manager? Because that's going to be 4 breeding manager birds down already that he could have maxed out on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how it always goes, right? You discard one and then you get all the perfect birds for it. So
yeah,
I feel for him a little bit.
I definitely do feel for him a bit. But like you say, you know, if you kept breeding manager, I'm sure he would have picked up a bunch of really big point forest birds, maybe some of those double birds as well, to get those down cheaply. So yeah, it's a tricky one, definitely. But I like this. I think this is setting up nicely, and this might be a good excuse for Grains to get this carrion crow down. And at least, you know, you've got this burrowing owl that's going to get you 1 extra point every round. So you could justify that, and it's at least that second wetland bird, I suppose, to get things going. So there we go, Goldeneye down. That's a scary moment for Grains, right? Giving away 2 frigs to your opponent.
Yeah, and I mean, this is interesting. I don't know that I would be eager to go on my grasslands. You know, you already have the eggs up. There's no egg capacity for EpicSaxGuy. You know, you can do what you said, just starve them a little bit.
Yeah.
And walk away with another end of round goal.
Exactly. Yeah, it's tricky. I can definitely see why GrainSlove would want to lay eggs there. You know, you kind of really put yourself in that strong position. You lay some extra eggs. I don't think he's going to be losing this end of round goal. And of course he gets that worm to play the carrion crow. But yeah, now is the time when EpicSaxGuy does pick up the Avocet, and he's also gone for the magpie. So Star Nest potentially is going to help out there. But yeah, all these pink powers going down. This is going to be a scary moment, I think. There we go.
This will be interesting.
Absolutely. And Golden Oriole, that's not a bad pickup. And certainly that Ruff is not a bad pickup either. So pretty good turn, I would say, there for GrainSlove. You know, this Ruff, if you know your opponent, they've got that strong forest, you can maybe get a bit of free food from that. This Ruff, plenty of tucks as well. So yeah, which of these do you try to prioritize? Only a few turns left in this round.
I think the Ruff is a good call here. You've already got a solid grassland, so I wouldn't feel like I'd need to rush the Goldeneye. And to be able to cycle cards in between turns is pretty valuable.
Absolutely, yeah.
What I'm liking is the teal on one side, the pink on the other. It'll be interesting to see how this shakes out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can definitely see EpicSax is kind of setting up to play at least 2 more pink powers, right? I think the Avocet and this magpie, they're both probably going to be going down pretty soon. And like you say, it's going to be pink there, and then it's going to be teal. I'm thinking this Ruff, this Goldeneye, and this carrion crow as well, potentially going to be going down at some point. So yeah, really interesting dynamic, I think, this game. And yeah, I do kind of worry for Grains once all these pink powers are down. It's almost not going to be worth laying eggs anymore, because he's just really not going to get any points from that.
Yeah, it'll be hard to hard to navigate this one. And I mean, that might be where the GoldenEye comes in handy, right? To give you that sort of padding.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. You know, it's going to help passively generate some eggs. You know, you've already got the Coltit, you've got the burrowing owl, so you're going to get at least a couple. So that, I think that definitely is an option to go with. But yeah, it looks like DrGrainslove is going to play the rough, and it's going in the grass. And so, you know, what do you make of that? Obviously, kind of really still committing onto this grasslands, even though he knows all of these pink powers are going down.
I mean, I think since that's a between round goal for me, I would guess that he's got his eye on round 3 and the end of round goal there.
Yeah.
If I was gonna guess, you see your opponent's got 3, you want to at least match that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's definitely a good point, I think. Maybe this carrion crow as well. That could easily slot in as well in the grasslands there alongside that rough. So yeah, if he's going to go for the end of rounds, I think that could be a good option for sure. But yeah, I think it's going to be key for DrGrainslove to get some extra cards to be able to use this rough. So obviously, if he's going to play the crow here, only 1 extra card in the GoldenEye, and if he's happy to get rid of that, fine. But you only get that 1 tuck on the rough, which, you know, you'd like to max that out and get the 3. So it's a bit of a shame there, but we'll see. I would imagine it's going to get tucked right.
I would think, yeah.
All right. Oh, and we've got a black-chinned hummingbird. So full co-op. Do you just go fully commit, put that in the grasslands, and just make peace with the fact that you're giving away so many, you know, free resources to your opponent?
Oh, if there weren't so many other pink powers in play, maybe. But I don't think you can give that advantage away. No. I think I have to agree. I think it is. It's so tricky. Like you said, already 2 pink power birds down, and if that third is going to follow, which I imagine it will do, the food in the bird feeders lined up pretty nicely there to play the Avocet. So yeah, that's definitely a risk to be going for that. But a couple of predators I saw there picking up the hawk, the Ferruginous hawk, and then obviously the Cooper's hawk as well, getting that through the Gallinual. So this carrion crow, this could end up being a really good play if that's going to get some extra points in between the rounds. Yeah, and I think you got to go for that double play because that'll get you in a good spot with your bonus card. Yeah. Housefinch is an interesting pickup here.
Yeah. I like that a lot. I think, you know, we just saw the puffin, of course, that appeared on EpicSaxGuy's turn, so he picks that up, but then does reveal that Housefinch. So could you maybe more justify this grasslands if you're going to be getting some tuck cards as well through this Housefinch?
I think, yeah. I think that would do it for me. I'd shift back pretty quickly. Yeah. I think that is definitely going to be an interesting option to have. And again, you know, DrGrainslove could easily max out this grasslands. He could easily fill up with 5 birds. He's looking at the end of round goal thinking, yeah, I can get this. You know, maybe the hummingbird could be a play. But definitely, like you say, I think that double play in the forest, I think Kinglet into hawk, if he can get a rodent here, which he does, very, very nice. That hits the forester, that helps the crow. Yeah, this is looking good for DrGrainslove. I think it's all going to be about getting these birds down, but obviously, really giving all these free eggs away to your opponent is going to be so tricky, especially with this Avocet going down here. Yeah, that's interesting. Almost goading DrGrainslove, saying, "Go ahead, go for it."
Yeah, exactly. It's so tricky because he kind of has to lay eggs, and I think, yeah, just with these birds in the hand, obviously like the Housefinch, maybe the hummingbirds, maybe the Ferruginous hawk as well. It all points towards going for that grasslands and just laying loads of eggs. But that is kind of playing exactly into the position that your opponent wants you to be going into. So yeah, this is a really interesting back and forth, this kind of dynamic between the teals and the pinks, like you said. So kind of a tricky one to see who's in the stronger position, but yeah, we're getting close to crunch time, I think, here as we kind of get towards the end of this third round.
Yeah, and it's always fun to see only one or two brown powers in play all the way into round 3. I think that's always gutsy. So
yeah, absolutely. And two brown powers both in the forest, and then the entire grasslands and the entire wetlands is just filled with white power and pink power birds. So yeah, kind of unusual with this kind of setup. But yeah, if EpicSaxGuy is able to just get a bunch of free eggs, and it looks like he's even kind of setting up a bit of a grasslands himself here with this Greckle, maybe getting some extra points as well. This could really play into his hands for a late pivot, tuck away all these cards and just get a bunch of points.
Oh yeah, I mean that's great, and you've gotten the free cards from the Gallinule the whole time, so
absolutely, yeah, that's a great point.
It just sets itself up, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna make it much harder, I think. I mean, I don't know. I wonder if DrGrainslove is gonna have any more turns drawing cards at this point. Probably not. It's just gonna be laying eggs, maybe play that Hawk, and maybe see what else you get from the deck, and maybe play that. But yeah, it's when you are able to maximize right from the free cards. When you said it earlier with the Greckle, putting it in the wetlands would have been potentially a good play, but saving it here, being able to tuck away these cards that you are getting for free, yeah, that's just going to be really nice, I think, for EpicSaxGuy.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that's one of the game changers, is just having that discipline to hold on to a card like that, so it can go down as a late stage grasslands.
Yeah.
Just point bomb. Yeah.
Yeah, discipline is such a great word to use there. I often see that where sometimes it is so easy to kind of fall into that trap maybe early on, or you rush into something, or you think, oh, this bird is never going to be useful, I'll get rid of that.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I'm going to shut up because I think we could all see what's in the tray. So.
It's like it's an instant hush whenever Anelli's lands. Oh.
Yeah, that's. I mean, we talked about this a bit when Bushnett was on in game 1. That could be such a game changer, and I think definitely, he was probably already going to play Puffin. I would have said EpicSaxGuy, but yeah, Puffin, Eagle, and then just spend a few turns laying eggs. That feels like a pretty solid end game. I think no complaints really there.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really ask for anything better if you were to come up with the perfect card to come down.
No, not at all.
That'd be it.
Yeah, and I was already going to ask you before the Benelli's Eagle came up, but I definitely need to ask you now. Who do you think is going to win this game 2?
I mean, I think I've got to give it to EpicSaxGuy on this one. Hard fought, but I think those pink powers, and now with a couple just big point birds at the end, it's hard to look past. It is
definitely hard to look past. So I think I'm trying to remember as well if Nestbox Builder, I think that is going to get maxed out as well with the Puffin play. So that's going to be huge points, like you said. Yeah, Puffin is already huge points on its own. Yeah, there we go, Nestbox Builder. So hoping for a nice bonus card. I'm sure EpicSaxGuy, even though it likely isn't going to be make or break, I think, with this kind of setup. But we'll see. What's it going to be from the Puffin? I mean, you take that 4 points on the War Expert. Very, very nice. So, yeah, that's definitely one to be happy with grabbing. And then, yeah, I think the last 3 turns are pretty straightforward. Play the Eagle and then lay eggs. So I think I'm with you on this. I think it does feel like it is going to be EpicSaxGuy here. Just the pink powers have been so strong. Just kind of chipping away really at the points that DrGrainslove was getting, because I think ordinarily, you look at this grasslands, you get a bunch of eggs, you get the tuck on the house finch, this burrowing owl has actually been doing pretty well, and then of course the nightingale getting the food. Normally you look at that as a really, really strong grasslands, but as soon as you're giving away these eggs to your opponent, it's just such a struggle.
Yeah, it's just one of those cases where you feel great, and unbeknownst to you, the perfect foil is happening on the other side. So that's just unfortunate.
It is, and I mean that's that's how Wingspan is. I think sometimes you can feel very comfortable in your own setup, but when your opponent is sort of starting to chip away, and definitely the round 2 tray having those 2 pink powers, EpicSaxGuy obviously at first only going for the 1, but then kind of going back and grabbing the other. So that has kind of definitely helped him out there. So it is probably going to be triple digits. I'm kind of expecting 71 points with a few tens left. It's going to be strong, but I think DrGrainslove is going to score pretty well here as well. So he's kind of shaping up, I think, probably to try and get maybe both of these hunting birds down, potentially as options to obviously help the carrion crow out. But yeah, I think he knows anytime laying eggs here is just a bit of a risk.
Yeah, and I don't mind that at all. I mean, I think they're both pretty good points. They help that crow. They don't give tons of eggs to EpicSaxGuy. Not a bad play.
No, I mean, I suppose I'm just thinking about this. There's a couple of options, so I think you could play both. I'm wondering if he's maybe thinking about this end of round. Although no, I think he should be okay for that. Yeah, there we go. He doesn't need to worry about the end of round with the 3 birds already. So yeah, that kind of feels to me like the kind of play to be going for, to just obviously make sure that you like maximizing those points, but also not giving away too many points, because I think as much as EpicSaxGuy is going to look to lay eggs on these last few turns, at least one of them, and obviously fill up a little bit from the pink powers, I think he's probably going to be okay here, and the space isn't going to be a problem.
It's interesting, though, to use one of your cached food to pay for a bird at this late stage when you're also taking a point away from the rough.
Yeah.
So you're giving up to get 1 for the carrion crow, and I know you've got those pink powers to think about, but
yeah,
I don't know. That's tricky.
It is tricky, and it's a really good point. It's one of those things that makes late game calculating so difficult, because ordinarily you can go, right, I get 4 for eggs, I get 1 tuck, I maybe get another for a hunt, and then you can look at your opponent and go, okay, well, they get 1 point, 2 point, 3 points for pink powers. But then you have to start thinking about, okay, now I lose a point for the cached food, and now I lose a point from the rough, but then I also gain a point from the crow, and sometimes end of round comes into it as well, and sometimes it's a bonus card. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, instinctively I feel like playing the birds is going to be better, but it is one of those where you almost need to just sit down, like get a calculator out, get pen and paper, and just write it all down, because it's these scenarios can get pretty complex sometimes.
Right. I know. Some people are so fast at that math, and I'm like, I just need to have you guys always on call.
Oh, I mean,
do my calculation.
We get it wrong all the time. All the time on commentary. And then, it'll come back to after the game, and like Mother Love will be in the comments or something like, oh, actually, if you did this and you got this many points, or one of the players will say, oh, this is what was going through my head, and I was thinking I get 2 points for this, and then minus 1 points for this, and yeah, it's not the kind of calculating I want to be doing, especially in a high pressure game like this. Yeah, I'm being streamed, people are watching, I'm going to have to watch it back and try and justify what I did. Yeah, it's never fun. So I do have definitely, I think, some sympathy there for DrGrainslove. Right, so
Yeah.
Benelli going down, very, very nice. You're happy with that whenever you could play Benelli in that last round. And I think, again, for EpicSaxGuy, pretty straightforward last turn. It's been planned out really nicely. You have this 1 extra card, you tuck that, and you're left with just that 1 food. You're left with no cards. Pretty clean end game, I think, here.
Yeah. I mean, how perfect, even down to using your last card. It's always just kind of beautiful to me when you use up your resources perfectly.
Oh yeah. I always feel happy. I mean, it almost overrides other parts of the game, where if I can get to the end of the game and I've used up all my cards and I've used up almost all my food, or if I can use all of it, even better. That, like you say, that just feels really nice. I think it can be quite frustrating. Sometimes you get to the end of the game, you have a bunch of cards, and you think, oh, maybe I just drew cards one too many times, or I've got all this food left over, and I just couldn't find that big point bird to play with it. That can be really, really frustrating to deal with. So, yeah, I think, like you say, it's always satisfying. And I think it's been a clean end game, I think, for DrGrainslove as well. Obviously, lots of permutations, lots of calculations. Which way is going to be the better way to go? But I feel like he's kind of done what he could, just up against these kind of monster pink powers that EpicSaxGuy's been working with.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really find a fault in the play. You know, I don't know that there are too many spots I would have done anything differently. Just one of those unfortunate situations. Yep. And one of those games where, you know, you come up against a very strong player. I think EpicSaxGuy, pretty well respected and well known as a really good player here. So I don't think you really can have too much shame coming up. Obviously, in a World Cup where you're up against some pretty strong players anyway. So here we go into the final scores, and it is definitely, after birds and bonus cards, a pretty strong lead for EpicSaxGuy. DrGrainslove performing very well in those end of round goals, so pulls it back a bit. But obviously, those eggs for EpicSaxGuy. Cash food is good for DrGrainslove, and the tucks do bring it pretty close. So I have to say, that is not as bad as it could have been. I think 100 to 91, very, very strong scores again for both players. But yeah, definitely good performances and very well done to both players. But of course, EpicSaxGuy, who will be going through, having won that series 2-0. And so we will get, if I just take both players off deafen so they can hear us, and we will get into the post-game stuff. So first of all, I will turn to the victor today, EpicSaxGuy. First of all, congratulations. Obviously, going through into the next round of the World Cup. How do you feel both of those games went for you?
Thank you. I wasn't sure. I mean, either game I wasn't sure I was winning. The last game I felt confident in the end. I was like counting up his points, and I felt like I was a few points ahead, even if you had like Rodentologist or something like that. Yeah, and it was really a strange game. I saw so many pink powers, egg laying powers.
Yeah, it was definitely a game of pink powers against teal powers, and it does seem like here the pink powers came out ahead, like you say. Just kind of, I think the magpie. We almost kind of didn't talk too much about that, but that did help a little bit. Obviously, the kingbird with the free worms, but really those MVPs, those pink egg powers. I think, yeah, from our perspective at least, those definitely came in clutch for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think the magpie was just to have something to play with the bluebird,
right,
so I could qualify for the second in the front and also for my bonus card.
Yeah, and the Avocet as well. I think you're obviously giving yourself a bit of ground nest space to get some free eggs, so that was good. So
yeah, that as well. I forgot to say
that. all good. So yep, obviously well done. But commiserations. I'll come to you now, DrGrainslove. Very well played, but yeah, just up against a real massive pink powers there in that second game in particular.
Yeah, well done, Sax. That was exceptional. I think both boards were a bit unconventional for you, but the second one in particular was just killing me with that pink tide. It was upsetting to see it unfold, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been there, right? You start to build a really strong grasslands. I think the Nightingale at the start, that was really good, and then obviously being able to get the Housefinch as well later in the game, get some of those tuck cards. I mean, me and G-Trude were saying this, it's such a good grasslands to get built up, and then you look at the other boards and you see two pink powers, and then suddenly a third pink power's gone down, and you just think, oh no, it's that kind of, the dread sets in. But yeah, I think I'll say it again, from our perspective, I don't think there was too much really, particularly in that game too, that could have been done differently. Some very difficult decisions at the end. Obviously, you had to decide, play the hawk, play the falcon. Do I take the caches on the crow? But then, or do I lay eggs and obviously give my opponent free eggs? Lots of difficult decisions, but yeah, it was two very good games. I think the viewers definitely enjoyed watching, and I certainly did enjoy watching and commentating on those as well. So thank you very much, both players, for taking part. And of course, again, congratulations to EpicSaxGuy. You'll be going through into the next round. I'm not sure who you'll be playing. I don't know if it's been determined yet.
I think it's going to be Sim.
Ooh, well, best of luck.
Thank you.
Enjoy. I'm sure that'll be a very tasty game. I'll definitely have my eye on that one for sure. But yeah, I think we will call it a day there on the stream. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. And yeah, do definitely stay tuned. We will get some more live streams booked in for the World Cup very, very soon. So yeah, see you all again next time.